Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the UFC's first trip to Baku, Azerbaijan is officially in the books. With it comes a dominant decision win for Khalil Roundtree in the main event of this card. Rafael Fiziev snaps a 3-fight losing streak, pulls off the slight upset against Ignacio Bahamondes. We had a fight of the year contender in the lightweight division between Nazim Sadikov and Nicholas Moda. Miktabek Uralbai got a nasty submission win. Little controversy there with some weight cutting issues and a catch weight. Curtis Blades gets if you ask Twitter, a pretty controversial split decision win. And yeah, UFC Baku had its highs, had its lows, had a couple of mediums. But it is in the books. It's 6:46 p.m. Eastern time, and the UFC event is wrapped and packed, and we are here talking about it right now here on the MMA Fighting YouTube channel. I am Mike Heck, and joining me to recap this all, the one and only Casey Leydon. He is back. He's feeling better. Was a daytime fight card the medicine you needed, Casey, to get you over the hump?
It was. I when I woke up this morning, I missed the first fight. I missed the banger. I missed the Usman Handy banger because I was still recovering from my my illness. But then the fisticuffs started happening. The beautiful city of Baku and its MMA frenzied fans. Got me back to good health. And decisions.
Yes.
Man,
wow. Let's do this. Bonuses are given, and shout out to Dana White and the UFC because I actually think they got this right, but there are some others that may feel a little slighted by this. You want to care to take a guess who got bonuses?
Fight of the night, and performance of the night to Zydikov and Moda. Does he get 100K?
Both of them got 100K.
Oh, both of them got 100K. Moda got 100K?
Yep, 100K to both of them. That's the bonuses tonight. They got all the bonuses. We always tweet that out. We're like, oh, just give these guys all the bonuses. They gave them all the bonuses. So shout out. Fight of the night. Sadikov, that knockout was incredible.
The fight was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. And again, Uralbai was a catch weight, so yeah.
So
shout out.
They did treat Uralbai as a even though technically it wasn't a missed weight, but they treated it like that, so he wasn't. Doesn't sound like he was. If that was a regular 55 pound fight, he, without a doubt that would have been just an incredible submission. But because of the weight miss and an incredible weight miss catch weight, I guess they just took away that 50K. But cool. That was an awesome fight.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
Dana
deserves another 50K. Well, I forgot his name, but the referee for that fight, the guy.
Yeah.
Because he could have stopped that fight in that first round when Moda was just spamming shots to a covered up Zydikov up against the cage, but not too many were landing, and the ones that were landing were hitting the body, and the referee did a great job on letting it go. And because of that, we saw a fight of the year contender. So
Lucas Bosaki was the referee, who is looks just like our old friend Connor Burks. Yeah. So good on him. He also was the referee. That took 2 points away.
Yeah.
In a fight that should have been a disqualification, but Jun Young Park's legend just continues to grow. More on Nazim Sadikov, Nicholas Mota. Later on in the show, I'm sure the peeps are going to have some things to say about it, but let's talk about the main event. We were waiting for this one. We were wondering what Khalil Roundtree would look like in his first fight since taking a admirable yet vicious beating from Alex Pereira in that fourth round. And Jamal Hill had been knocked out brutally in 2 straight fights, once by Alex Pereira, gets knocked out by Yuri Prochazka in one of the most fun fights of the year so far in the 3rd round. And I continue to say in the build to this fight, nobody on this card needed a win more than Jamal Hill. Nobody. And Khalil Roundtree Started off real slow, real patient, and then he started landing leg kicks. He was chipping away. He was putting the proverbial money in the bank. And then as round 2 came along, those leg kicks continued to come. He started mixing it up to the body. He was throwing strikes all over the place. And you could see Jamal Hill's right calf had ballooned to 2 or 3 times the size of his left calf because of the damage that Khalil was putting on him. Round 3, not a single judge gave it a 10-8 round. MMA Fighting's official scorecard was a 10-8 third round. I'm sorry, when it's 2 clean knockdowns in a lopsided round, that is a 10-8 round in my book. That's not even a Jed Meshew 10-8. Like, that is a legit 10-8 in my eyes, but I gave it to him. The 2 judges did not. And then Roundtree won round 4. I thought he won round 5 as well. One of the judges gave Hill a round. In the end, 50-45 times 2, 49-46 for Khalil Roundtree. And then we'll get to the post-fight stuff in a second, but just your assessment of the main event, what you saw from Khalil Roundtree and what you saw from Jamal Hill in a fight that he desperately needed to win but did not.
Well, I think if we said that if Jamal Hill makes this a strictly, mid-range kickboxing match, which seems like it was for pretty much the entire 25 minutes, Roundtree should win this fight pretty handily, and I think that's what we saw. Yeah, I mean, and to me, if Hill, because he wants to be macho and like not wrestle and stuff, but this is mixed martial arts. You gotta wrestle the Muay Thai fighter. You gotta threaten his legs. You gotta threaten him takedown. You gotta push him against the cage. You gotta do something. You can't let Roundtree fight his fight. And that essentially the entire 25 minutes, Roundtree was fighting at his pace and his range. Hill's just never gonna win that fight. Maybe he might land one lucky overhand at some point, but chances are Roundtree's gonna win that fight every single time. And I think that's what we saw. That's why we saw a pretty dominant, 50-46. I'm sorry, 50-44, 50-45 decision. I had every round for Roundtree, including a 10-8, without a doubt, a 10-8 for that third round. So kind of a great showcase. It turned out to be a great showcase fight for Roundtree. And Hill just honestly it's a bad loss. I mean, Hill didn't get knocked out, so that's good. There were many chances. I think by the end of the second round, I was kind of waiting for a knockout. I kind of gave up on it by the time the fifth round came around. But Hill didn't get knocked out, so good. But without getting knocked out, this is about as bad as a loss as he could take, I feel, for him.
I was actually going to say, if Hill, especially after that third round, came out in round 4 and was just like, all right, man, I got to be aggressive and just throw caution to the wind. If he Korean zombied this thing,
just go out in your shield.
He did against Max Holloway and then got knocked out, I think this would have been a better taste in everybody's mouths, as opposed to just getting outclassed for 25 minutes. Like, Hill had brief moments, and the only thing that made this fight somewhat closer than the scorecards indicate is because Roundtree was just so patient the entire time. He was just waiting. He didn't throw anything until Hill would throw. And the second Hill would throw something, he made Jamal pay with combinations. And Hill just couldn't string things together. And I understand that he was just hurting, man. That his legs are just battered. He was trying to put a poker face on. He was trying to shake stuff off. But you could tell, especially in the fourth round, and there were portions of this fight too, that anytime Jamal Hill put weight down on his right leg, he almost fell over. That's how battered he was in this fight. So I give him credit for going to the end, but he just couldn't get anything going. And the moments in this fight where he got really aggressive, he did okay. And then, hold on a second. Hold on.
No, what's going on?
Hold on. Might have some breaking news here. Trying to figure it out. What do we got?
Is this about the Royval thing or something else?
No.
Oh.
We're doing a live show here, folks.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing a live show. Oh, breaking news! Hit the breaking news. Do we have breaking news music? Ladies and gentlemen, Dana White just announced that Jon Jones called the UFC and he officially retired, and Tom Aspinall is the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion of the world.
Whoa!
Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are changing this entire show to a Jon Jones is no longer the UFC champion and Aspinall is reaction show.
Wow.
Casey, it happened.
It happened.
Your reaction to this?
Finally? Yes. Good. Congratulations, Tom Aspinall. You did it. Hey, Tom Aspinall is in my my fantasy team. I feel like I should get some points now. I don't know why, but I feel like I deserve some points for Tom Aspinall being in my fantasy team. Whoa, wild. God, I just wish I was in the. I wish we were on that phone call or in some of those meetings when John just said, "Yeah, I'm done." I just want to know. This is wild. Yeah. I think we are kind of waiting for this moment. I don't know. I gotta. Jeez, I gotta bring some comments up. This is.
Yeah. What are we doing here? I'm changing like the entire.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, can we call Jed right now? I think Jed is on a lake boat right now, like drinking White Claws, like on some raft right now. So we need a live feed of him from his phone right now.
Oh my God. I have to change like all of this. I'm changing all of the headlines to all of this. So yes,
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Where's Jed?
I'm surprised. AK just like jokingly said in our chat, Dave Shaw could have broken this news because I saw Dana sitting cage side for a minute and then we didn't see him. And we just sort of internally thought that, well, he's going to be in New York tomorrow for Fanatics Fest because they're doing the Canelo Crawford presser over there. And maybe he just caught a flight and left, but he just made the big announcement. Jon Jones out. He is retired. He is no longer the UFC heavyweight champion. And Tommy Aspinall, the man that I believe should have been the undisputed champion for well over a year now, is now the champion. The nightmare, at least for the time being, is over. And there you have it. So, yeah, didn't see this coming today, but here we are on a Saturday after UFC Baku. And
I mean, we were all waiting for it, but I think now that it's here, I don't know. These are these things you talk about forever, but when you I feel like we're like a dog chasing a car. Or we finally caught the car. Like, what do we do now? like, whoa, crap! It's done.
Yeah, so I'm trying to update all of this. We're gonna need like new thumbnails and everything.
Yeah,
that is crazy. So, I mean, this is obviously the big news right now. So are we getting
Aspinall's interim champ streak is now over? Is it with the longest interim heavyweight champ ever or something?
Wow. All right. Dana White's exact comments were as follows. Quote, Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC. So, I mean, maybe there's more and we will react as we see stuff, but holy crap. Massive news on this Saturday, and this is pretty wild. So and apparently nobody in the media room asked a follow-up question or has asked a follow-up question. Like, I hate being that guy, but like, this is every fucking question should be about this. Every single one. Like, it's cool. Like, you're in Baku, you are in the media room for this massive game-changing announcement. One that we have been talking about for 2 years since Jones won the heavyweight title, since Tom Aspinall won the interim heavyweight title. And no one's following up on this? Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Wow. So who gets the shot? Like, that's the first follow-up question. Who's Tom going to fight his first title defense? Is it going to be Cyril Gahn? Is it going to be Jailton Almeida? Even though Alex Pereira told our own Jose Youngs yesterday at Fanatics Fest that his focus is on light heavyweight, do they give him a bag and say, no, man, nobody wants to watch you fight Magomed Ankalaev. Go fight Tom Aspinall. What are they going to do? Like, if you had the pencil, Casey, if they flew you out to the war room for the Tuesday meeting, what are you picking? Who's Tom Aspinall fighting?
Well, if I'm one of the UFC, if I'm a UFC brass, I wear the suit, and my job is to make money for the UFC. I throw a big pile of cash at Alex Pereira's feet and go
100%.
I go, bulk up, boy, eat up, don't you dare diet. Let's do it. Aspinall Pereira. That's the fight. That's the fight. It's not the fight that makes sense, but it's the fight that we want to see, which is.
Yeah, I'm. This is stunning news. This threw me off a little bit. I'm trying to update the masses on what exactly we're doing here, because this is supposed to be just like a Baku post-fight show, and it has turned into the Jon Jones is retired, Aspinall is the champion reaction show. So yeah, I love the Alex Pereira idea. Again, like you just said, like, it's not the meritocratic choice. Although Cyril Gahn, throwing him in a title fight after that recent fight is kind of rough and isn't great. Almeida would be interesting, but I think you just need to throw Tom a bone, because he's the guy who has had to suffer through all of this. He's only fought one time since he won the belt in November of 2023. Won the belt. He beat the hell out of Curtis Blades in a minute. And then he's just sat and waited because he knew if he took another fight, he might lose out on Jon. So, like, he's the one who's had to sit out and hope and pray that this Jon fight would happen. And now just throw him a bone. Give him Pereira. Jeremy Perez, very interesting comment right here. Jones' greatest victory is taking 2 years off of Tom's career, which technically is not wrong. And that's what Jon has been saying the whole time. How do you beat Tom Aspinall? He even said it on Twitter, by not giving him the opportunity. And sure, in a weird, twisted way, that is what Jon Jones did. So now Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion. We can move on, and hopefully Tom is in there like sooner rather than later. I don't know when you do it. Is this because right now we have everything sort of filled up right now? We got International Fight Week loaded. We have Poirier Holloway in July. We got DDP and Chimaev in August. No pay-per-view in September. So they're going to do 2 in October.
Yeah,
do it in October?
Sounds like October's the time. You can,
yeah, I mean, do we do Aspinall somebody in Abu Dhabi? Is that in Vegas or Salt Lake or wherever that first October pay-per-view is going to be? Do we save it for MSG? Like, what do we do?
I don't really think. Honestly, I don't care. I just want to see it.
Yeah,
I don't care. Anywhere but the Apex, be honest. Anywhere but the Apex. But if it has to be the Apex, we'll do the Apex. I just want to see Tommy fight. I just want to see the man fight. That's all. Yeah,
he should be fighting all the time. And honestly, like, people are going to think this is a dumb take, but I don't care, because Alex Pereira should be the guy. If Alex is like, look, I'm a competitor. I really want to get this bad taste of the Ankalaev fight out of my mouth. I want to try to avenge that loss. I don't want to do heavyweight. If Derek Lewis knocks out Talis Teixeira, just give it to Derek Lewis. I don't care. Like, I truly do not care who it is. I don't care, because Tom is going to rinse everybody. He's going to run over every single one of these guys. At least Derek would be like, wow, what a story if Derek Lewis is the dude. And people love him. So just give him bodies at this point. Just get him out there and fighting as often as possible is what we got to do here. Make heavyweight great again, for the love of God.
So I guess the question I immediately start thinking now, is this a true retirement? Or is this just a Cejudo retirement? I don't even like suggesting that, but is this a basically I can come back anytime to fight for the title? Do you believe that, or is this Jon really hanging it up?
I think
Like John's not gonna be out of the news. He's gonna be every day. He's gonna be still in the storyline until somehow we can like officially will this be almost like a Habib situation where Dana's kind of continually trying to pull him back and suggesting and
yes. I think it's going to take something massive for John to come back. Like if Tom goes on a legendary run, maybe John is like, okay, I'll come back for one more. But John's been like pretty clear about like what he's been trying to do, right? Like, and again, sorry, I'm trying to change thumbnails and do all sorts of crazy stuff.
I did message Jed to see if he's available for a quick hot take, but he hasn't replied.
Yeah, I don't. Jed's.
I know he's.
Although Jed would be terrifically funny right now,
but maybe too funny.
I don't know if he's going to be in terrific shape to do such a thing. So if he does come on, that's fantastic. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So pretty crazy stuff going on here. So while we get all this stuff together, Casey, let's bring up some comments from the peeps and let's see what they're saying about all this, because this is obviously some very big news here.
All right. Some super chats about it.
Chickens can't be goats. John ducked, not retired. So seriously, that's going to be a very, very interesting conversation in all of this. Is like, does this whole thing, him not fighting Tom,
just confirm,
is this going to affect the legacy? Like, does this affect it in any real, like, crazy kind of way? And I think it's a pretty fair question to be asked here. Your thoughts on like kind of how this affects the Jon Jones legacy moving forward?
I mean, everyone has everyone's got their different opinion on Jon Jones, which I kind of guess that's what makes him so fun to talk about. Yeah, it affects it. It's the steep. Remind me of the history when Jon fought Gon. What was the heavyweight situation at that time? Why
Francis vacated the belt to go sign with PFL. And Dana spun it in such a way where it was, well, Francis ran to do easier fights, and that's why he's not the champion anymore.
Where was Aspinall in that situation? Was Aspinall just not high enough in the rankings at that time, or did
I think because this is when Aspinall, if memory serves me correctly, this is when Aspinall was hurt, was he not?
Oh, okay. This is the time when he got after his in between the injury from the Blades fight when his knee went out. Okay, so the timing wasn't there. Man.
And I think he was just coming back to fight. Did he just come back to fight Tybura? He fought Tybura. It was Tybura, right? He came back and fought in England, and then they were going to do Jones and Stipe at MSG, and then Jones gets hurt, and they booked Aspinall versus Pavlovich for the interim belt on like pretty quick notice, and Aspinall was like pretty beat up too. So, yeah.
I guess
kind of just a wild situation.
I guess it was what's going to just annoy me about the Jon talk if I hear that Jon is the heavyweight GOAT too. If I start hearing that conversation, the guy that
I don't know if we're going to hear that conversation.
Are we not hearing that? Or like
that Jon's a heavyweight GOAT?
Well, we know I'll concede light heavyweight. I'll concede light heavyweight despite the his infractions. So, but just because of who's out there. But I guess not the heavyweight GOAT, but does the heavyweight run? Does it kind of cement his greatest ever GOAT of all GOATs legacy, or is it just kind of a thing, like Anderson when he went up in weight? Because he didn't fight the two best guys available because of reasons, Francis and Aspinall, during his heavyweight run. When he could have, I guess he could have, but
yeah, I mean, Jon is notably to kind of blame for both of these not happening. But I mean, it depends on who you ask, right? Because again, the Jones Ngannou thing was weird because it's funny because Jones kept asking for Deontay Wilder money, and Dana White kept going to press conferences being like, saying things of, well, if I'm Jon Jones, I'm going to middleweight instead of going to heavyweight after Francis knocked out Stipe. And then it turned into Jon said he wants Deontay Wilder money. He wants $30 million to fight Francis. And we were all like, pay him. What are we doing here? Like, pay these guys. Let's make this fight happen. And then Francis like continued on. He was having his contract. He was having all of his stuff going on with the UFC behind the scenes that became very, very public. He beat Cyril Gane while injured and basically risked it for the biscuit, wins that fight on one leg, and then is a free agent the rest of the way. And ultimately, even though the UFC gave him, from all indications, like a pretty fair offer, Francis wanted to be able to look himself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm happy with everything that I'm doing. I love my job. I love where I'm at. And I have the freedom to do essentially whatever I want. Francis wanted to go box. The UFC was never going to let him do that. PFL certainly did. He's the face of PFL Africa. It's all sorts of stuff. And now it became this thing of like, well, maybe Francis will come back to the UFC because Eric said a thing in an interview, and all the aggregate sites, all the aggregate social media pages turn it into something that it totally wasn't, and then made that thing happen. And then again, but the UFC is to blame mostly for all of this. Like, Jon obviously shares a lion's share and to some degree, especially this Aspinall situation. But again, I'm not really like fully defending Jon. Jon has said since literally the Stipe fight, like, I don't even know if I'm coming back yet. Maybe I'll give you the fight we want, but like, I don't have to fight anymore. And from all indications, like, moving forward, it was just, I told the UFC what I'm going to do, so I don't understand why this continuously comes up. They know my plans. Ask them. I'm not going to say anything because they already know what I've told them. And then poor Tom is just kind of sitting around waiting as well. So, yeah, I mean, the heavyweight thing is just so silly, the way they spun it. And then, of course, when Jon won the belt, he's like, he's the baddest man on the planet. Francis would have gotten clobbered by that, Jon Jones. And then the Stipe fight happens. Like, they book it for the MSG in 23, 8 months after Jon wins the belts. And at that point, it's like, all right, fine. Like, you want to do it? Cool. Like, Tom wasn't at that point just yet. So, all right, fine. Let's do Jon versus Stipe. It was a big deal in the build, even though it was kind of a silly fight. And then Jon gets hurt, and we had to wait an entire year for Jon to come back. And they went right back to the Stipe fight, which is so ridiculous. It was just so dumb. And I really wish they never came back to the fight. And the biggest thing for me is, if you go back and like listen to reaction shows or even preview shows building up to that event where Tom Aspinall fought Sergey Pavlovich, we all said into live microphones that putting an interim title on the line in this fight is going to be a disaster. It's going to cause so many problems. And they went ahead and did it, and it caused so many problems for a long ass time. But now it appears the nightmare is over, and Tom Aspinall is being declared the heavyweight champion of the world. So wild times.
Is that your headline? The nightmare is over.
I think so. I think so. Like, Dana White finally like understood the assignment, because, and I understand this too. Like, people say like, oh, you just shit on Dana all the time. As a bald, stubborn Boston guy, I get it. When you say something with so much vigor and passion and you're wrong, it's so hard to say, I'm wrong. I'm still right. Like, you want to find a way to make this right. And Dana went from, because I was in the room. I was in the room in Tampa after Joaquin Buckley finished Colby Covington. And Dana went up there and said, I 100% guarantee that Jon Jones will fight Tom Aspinall. And we're like, It's not happening. It's just not going to happen.
That's when we all confirmed, like, oh, it ain't happening. When he goes 100%, oh, it ain't happening.
We all said it. We're like, this fight's not happening. Stop asking about it. It's not happening. Never once have we wavered. I think AK at one point was like, yeah, I'm the Prince of Positivity. Let's do it. But we've been telling you for a year this fight's not going to happen. And Dana just kept saying, like, look, Jon Jones isn't afraid of anybody, all that. And then you could see, like, he started to tiptoe back a touch as the months went by. Jon Jones, no longer the number one heavyweight in the world, or the number one pound for pound fighter in his eyes. He finally admits that Islam Makhachev is the number one pound for pound fighter. All right, you guys are right. I was wrong. Islam's the dude. And then it became like, if we can make the fight happen, we'll try to make it happen. And then going on Jim Rome, we knew that this was it. This was the final candle being blown out of the Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall cake. In 2 weeks, we'll have a decision one way or the other. We're going to move quick. And that point, we were just like, why just move now? We know where this is going. So Jon is saying, I'm not fighting. I have no interest in fighting. So finally, it's over. At least now, for now.
Do we believe that? Do we believe Jon has no interest in fighting, or he has no interest in fighting Tom Aspinall?
I think,
because those are two different things.
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think it's both. If the UFC offered him, like, because even in the UFC at this point, they knew, like, if they somehow were like, you know what, you're right, Jon, Tom's not like the biggest name, we'll give you Alex Pereira. Like, you'll defend the belt against Alex Pereira. I think Jon would have taken that fight. I think he would have. But I think the UFC was just like, no, it makes no sense. And they would have been crucified if they made that fight. And Tom is still the interim friggin' champion. Like, at that point, when Tom is the longest running and reigning interim champion in UFC history, and we're benching this guy
with an active champion.
Yes.
An active champion.
Yes. Like, at that point, it's just like, come on, man. Like, let's just move this along. And I really wish this happened. I really wish this happened in December instead of 100% guaranteeing it and give fans false hope. Like, the newer fans that they are promoting towards, they don't know any better. They take Dana's word as gospel at this point. And those of us who've been around, like, we get it. We see holes in his arguments, and it's just kind of weird. By the way, let's read this real quick. Tom Aspinall via Instagram says, quote, for you fans, it's time to get this heavyweight division going. An active, undisputed champion. This is from one Tom Aspinall, the new UFC undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So he's ready to get this division moving. And that's that. I want to hear what the peeps are saying. Let's go.
Yeah, okay. There's so much from the peeps.
Yeah.
Couple comments.
Let's go.
Fights,
let's hear for the peeps. Yeah.
All right.
We're not. I'm sorry. Very little will be talked about from UFC Baku here. We gave you a couple little snippets. We gave you the bonuses, which is kind of cool. We talked about the main event. AK and I will talk more about this tomorrow. On to the next one. That's where you'll get more of a reaction to UFC Baku, but you're just not going to get it here. That is so far in the back burner right now compared to what we're talking about right now. So let's go to the peeps and keep this conversation going. We can talk forever if we want. I don't give a shit.
I missed this line, but maybe you remember it.
It's almost poetic that Bisping made the hilarious duck call on the night Jones decides to retire. Okay, very interesting. So I'm trying to remember what exact fight this was. I don't know if this is the Mo Usman fight, but I guess because I think it was the Usman fight, Usman Hamdi fight, because I was doing like a watch along on the People's Pre-Fight Show. We watched that entire fight together. I was like, we're sticking around for the People's main event. We want to see everybody's heavyweight overs hit, no matter how you got it. And everybody's did, because it went to the cards. And at one point, I don't know if Brendan Fitzgerald said something, but I saw this kind of on Twitter floating around that one of the coaches was yelling Jon Jones as like a signal. They're like, Jon Jones. And they're like, oh, one of the coaches is saying Jon Jones. What does that mean? Bisping goes, it means duck, which was very funny. and I have to go back and like watch the entire clip, but that's kind of what I gathered. And if I'm dead wrong, please call me out for being dead wrong, but that's kind of funny.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Luke. All right.
No way.
I'm working on it.
Is it happening? Oh my God.
I'm working on it.
Oh my God. Yes. All right.
All right.
Don't go anywhere, people. I'm telling you.
Don't go anywhere. Yeah. I'm working on it. All right.
Keep bringing up the RS40. Jon Jones beat the UFC easily in all of this mess. Yeah.
I mean, did he beat him? I mean, he didn't make any more money. He fought the Stipe fight. Unless there was a promise. Huh?
He probably made a lot of money to fight Cyril, and then probably made a lot of money to fight Stipe.
Do you think there was like a kind of an agreement with the UFC that, okay, we'll give you the Stipe fight, but after you beat Stipe, you fight Tom? And you think, when in terms of that he beat the UFC, like in the sense that he didn't have to fight Tom, is that what we're saying?
I think part of it is that. Plus, he got the Stipe fight. Like that is.
Oh, I mean, that's a giant win.
Yeah,
for him.
Our interest levels, like we understood the Stipe booking the first time around, but we all kind of knew how that fight was going to go. Pretty much exactly what we saw. And then to wait a year, and Stipe is like a year older with zero interest in fighting, and now another extra year out of the octagon, and Tom doing what Tom did, winning the inter belt and then defending it, and then having to sit cage side and weigh in as the backup to watch Jon Jones fight Stipe. Like nobody wanted that fight outside of, I don't even think like deep down Stipe wanted that fight, but he was just like, I can't turn down this bag. Like I'm getting a big bag of money to fight Jon Jones. Like I have to do this if I'm going to fight one more time. So yeah, it's just so crazy, man. So yeah, I think, and you can certainly make the case that Jon Jones beat the UFC in this.
All right. Got some few more comments.
Yeah, let's go. Let's just keep firing them out there. It's 7:23. It's not 3 a.m.
Yeah,
so I am.
You're ready to go.
I'm fresh to death right now.
Okay. There's some curse words in here, but I'm just warning you. This next one.
As an almost 20-year Jon Jones rider, he loses all GOAT status by avoiding Aspinall at heavyweight. Greatest 205er, yes, but GOAT, no. Okay. That's fair. I guess
that's what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, like how do you, how does this heavyweight run by Jones? How do we compare it to, say, GSP, coming out of retirement and facing Bisping? Is this kind of the same thing, kind of different? I mean, obviously it's kind of different, but does it affect the legacy, or is it just a great payday? I kind of think of them as the same a bit, but the GSP thing obviously didn't have as much public drama.
Yeah,
I mean, the Whittaker situation too, and the whole middleweight thing.
Yeah, and GSP basically said like, "Yeah, I'll fight him. Like, I'll fight him," and then didn't. But he also, GSP had like very public health issues by fighting at 185. I think like if you go back to past MMA Fighting articles, you can read exactly what happened. But like bulking up and fighting at middleweight instead of like competing at welterweight, which he was so used to, like it really messed with his system in a lot of ways, where he realized that like, I can't do this anymore. I'm never going to be able to fight at middleweight. And I kind of just don't want to fight anymore at all. I accomplished everything and just was done with it. So they made Whittaker the champion, but it's like GSP held out and all this stuff. And it just seemed like the UFC was kind of ready to move on too. Interesting quote from Dana White in regards to Tom Aspinall that I will read, courtesy of MMAfighting.com. Quote, I obviously feel bad for Tom that he lost all that time and obviously money, but we'll make it up to him. Tom Aspinall is a good guy. He's been incredible through this whole process that we've gone through. He's been willing to do anything, fight him anywhere at any time and do this. And now he's like, I'll fight anybody. You tell me who and I'll fight them. Aspinall has been great. He's going to be a great heavyweight champion for us. I'm excited to work with him. That is Dana White on Tom Aspinall, which I think is great.
That was very mature.
It's got to be music to your ears right now if you're Tom Aspinall. Like,
people
thought he was risking it, and sure, he did lose some time, but it seems like, because you know how the UFC can be, and you know how Dana can be specifically. Like, if you show them that you are loyal to them and you do what they say and you're willing to be a company guy, if you can get to a finish line in a situation like this, the UFC will reward you. So maybe they're going to give us Tommy A versus Alex P. That'd be big. That'd be a big one.
Who gets screwed over in that situation? Almeida?
Between who?
If they book Prayer.
No. Almeida got finished by Curtis Blades like a year and a half ago. Like bad.
I thought Almeida's coming off a win. I can't remember.
He's coming off a win.
I don't know. I forget these things.
Was Sergey Spivak? He's coming off 2 wins.
Okay,
yeah, he got beat up by Curtis Blades and stopped. Then he beat Alexander Romanov, who's not in the UFC anymore, and he beat Sergey Spivak. Like, those are fine wins. Like, honestly, if the UFC called me and said, Mike, you choose, it's not going to be Pereira, it's Almeida or Cyril Gane, I would pick Almeida. Almeida, but I think they will go with Gane.
I'll go with Almeida too, because Gane is just, I think, whatever. Either it's not. That's what sucks. That's what sucks for Aspinall. Like the heavyweight. I don't know what's wrong with the heavyweight right now as far as the contenders. It doesn't seem to. It's just not lined up right or something. I don't know.
They need some young, exciting bodies in there, like real quick. And that's why it's been such a shame having Tom on the back burner, because he's like a young, hungry, about to enter his physical prime guy. And like in a real, like if you look at the history of UFC and the heavyweight division, like Tom Aspinall might have like 8 good years ahead of him at this point. And like the best is coming up.
Yep. Oh, man.
If you're just joining us, you see UFC Baku post show up there.
I should change
we're not talking about UFC Baku. If you're just joining us, you see the headline: Dana White at the UFC Baku post-fight press conference announced that Jon Jones called the UFC and officially notified them that he is retiring, that he is no longer the heavyweight champion. They have officially, per Dana White, promoted Tom Aspinall to the undisputed heavyweight champion title holder, and all is well in the world, at least for right now. So the nightmare is over.
The nightmare is over.
That's going to be when we post. Yeah. We changed everything. I whipped up like this makeshift thumbnail in like 2 seconds as we were doing this. So everything is very Jon Jonesy right now.
Hold on.
No.
Give me one moment. Give me a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. Hold on.
Pull up a comment or something.
Hold on. What I do? Let me put a comment up here. Here we go. Oops. Talk to Mr. Boza for a moment.
Oh, we're really talking about Chris Williams right now.
Wait, hold on. Okay, how about
Chris Williams go for here with the win? Is he here?
Hold on. Let's talk about this real quick.
All right. Curtis, I don't know. We got to see what's happening. He looks like he said he tore something in his knee early in the fight, so he might not be fighting for the rest of the year. So what number was Jones looking for? 10 million, 20 million? I don't know. I bet it's higher than that. And if you listen to some of the reporting, especially from very respected media members, guys like Ariel Helwani, it seems like whatever Jon asked for, the UFC was willing to meet him at that number. And then Jon was just like, oh, I'm still just don't want to fight. And that's okay. That's fine. More breaking news.
Breaking news. We have live feed from a lake house or on a beach or somewhere in a vacation spot. The wonderful Jed Meshew.
Hey guys, what's happening? Did something happen tonight? What's
Yes.
going on right now? How are the fights? Are they
Curtis
wonderful?
Blade. Curtis
fights.
Blades
Don't worry
won a
about that.
split decision against Rizvan Kuniev. That's what we're talking about right now. Where's next? But maybe Curtis Blades gets inserted in this conversation. Jed Meshew, the nightmare is over. The nightmare is officially over. Dana White went to the UFC Baku press conference, notified the media, notified the world that Jon Jones notified them last night that he is retiring, he is done, and Tom Aspinall is now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Jed Meshew.
I am shocked. Shocked, I say. I never saw this coming. What an unbelievable... So as you can see, I am not... Let's just be real clear about the state I'm in right now. Probably not going to be my best work, guys. Out on the boat, partying, don't have a clue what happened in the fights. Pulled them up just now as we're going to do this. But I left my phone because, let's detach, right? Like, the Baku fights, I'll come back. I'll watch them tomorrow if I, however it goes. But, let's just fully unplug. Let's be in the moment. Let's enjoy. It's a beautiful day out on the boat, tubing, doing the thing. Great. Come back to, no bullshit, 30 messages across various platforms of people being like, you did it. You were right. Oh, my God. We need to hear you on this. And to Casey being like, hey, man, you want to pop on? And I was like, what are you even talking about? But then as I was looking through them, this was before I got the official news. I was just able to be like, oh, this must have happened. And so I went to MMAfighting.com. It's a great website. And I was like, oh, that thing I've been saying for almost 2 full years. Oh, that finally happened. That's terrific. I am so pleased that we finally got here. We don't have to dive into it right now to talk about the end of Jon Jones's career and sort of how that affects his legacy. His legacy is certainly set in stone in a lot of these ways, right? But his heavyweight legacy, sus, let's just call it what it is. And most importantly, Tom Aspinall is your true heavyweight champion. He's been the heavyweight champion. He's the dude actually fighting the top heavyweights in the world time and time again. And this is justice for him. I'm very happy that he is at least getting his belt. Obviously, it would have just been dope to get the fight. And maybe we will. Maybe Jon will. This may be, guys, like the Henry Cejudo situation, where Henry retired thinking people would miss him. And then immediately Henry was like, shit, they moved on quickly. This may be a Jon sees like, oh, shit, Tom's a champ. Everybody's cool with it. And maybe Jon gets that itch again. But I don't think so, because I never once thought he was fighting this man. And I'm super glad we're here. It took us long enough, but we finally got to the good outcome.
Do you feel like the nightmare is officially over, or is this just a brief detour? Is this Jon Jones being done? I know you said maybe he comes back, he gets that itch, or is this the Henry Cejudo situation where every time a heavyweight fight happens, even if it's 6 months from now, he's chiming in saying, "Oh, I would have beat that guy like Henry Cejudo did," before eventually coming back?
Oh, he's done, but he's definitely going to still beat Jon Twitter Fingers Jones at points in time, right? If Tom loses his next fight, which could happen, that always is a possibility, then Jon's going to be tweeting see, told you. And if Tom just kind of keeps putting a run together, he'll probably still say well, I could beat him if I wanted to. And he'll keep his name out there because we live in an attention, society. There's a currency to being in the news, to be making headlines. And Jon understands that implicitly. And so he'll keep throwing it out there and doing that. But it has been, I thought from Jump Street, right, he was never going to do this. It's been evident via the words he has said, not even reading between the lines of, well, he wants to fight Alex, but he doesn't want to fight Tom. He's just outright been I don't want to fight that dude for a full year almost. So it's just never going to happen. But he'll keep bringing it up, but he's never going to actually fight him, because now the problem with the retirement, right? The only way Jon comes back is if Tom loses. If Tom loses, and let's say Alex Pereira does move up, right? Let's say Alex gets the first crack at newly undisputed heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall, and Alex wins. Boy, Jon is coming out of retirement. He's going to GSP the shit out of that. But if, and I think most of us assume, I certainly do, that Tom is going to put together a real sustained run here, then Jon will just stay retired, because he doesn't want to fight Tom. And that's what I've been saying from the beginning, and it is not because he is afraid of Tom. It's because he recognizes the risk in fighting Tom, and the UFC was not willing to compensate him enough to overcome his sort of cost-benefit analysis, because he can lose. He could have won, but he could definitely lose. And because he already won the belt, even if that belt's pretty papery, like in the history of UFC belts, that's one of the weaker ones he holds. In 10 years, it's that old Brian Scalabrine quote about being on the Celtics and winning a chip, right? Like, sure, I suck today. I didn't play any minutes in the final, but in 5 years, I'm going to tell my kid that I started. And in 10 years, I'm going to tell my kid that I was MVP. And in 12 years, I'm going to be like, I was the best in the league. That's going to work here for Jon. In 10 years, people are just going to see that he's a 2-division champion. They're not going to recognize the context of how things went down, that he never beat the guy to be the guy. And so he gets all the benefits without taking the very real risk of fighting Tom Aspinall. And so this is why we were always going to end up here. I don't know why it took us this long. Let me just say this. I'm not going to give him a ton of credit because he doesn't deserve it for how this whole thing unfolded. Credit to Jon for finally sacking up and ending it. Because Jon has been saying for months now, like, I told the UFC my plans, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not my job to tell people, okay, but like you could end all the speculation. You could have gotten rid of months of headlines by saying, I intend to fight this man at some point in time, or saying, I'm not fighting him. And you didn't. And there are reasons for that. But he finally just nutted up and was like, all right, UFC, I'm done. I'm living my best life, and God bless him. I hope he lives a great one. Has no more issues. He is one of the all-time, if not the greatest fighter who's ever lived. But it was past time to be done with this nonsense, and I'm glad we finally are. I got off the boat to come talk about this. That's how glad I am.
So what are we doing here? I know that you've been very high on the idea of Alex Pereira being the Tom Aspinall opponent, and I think a lot of us are with you. I'm with you on that. I think mostly not because it's like, it's not the most like deserving thing, but let's throw Tom Aspinall a bone and give him like the biggest fight he could possibly have if it's not going to be Jon Jones, because Cyril Gane, I think it's kind of debatable that he should be the guy, even though he is coming off a win. Jelton Almeida has 2 wins, but they're against Alexander Romanov and Sergey Spivak, which are fine wins. You go out there and do what you got to do, and that's cool. But Pereira is obviously a way bigger fight. Pereira spoke to our own Jose Youngs about 24 hours ago and said, I'm not interested in heavyweight. Let those dudes all kill each other. And I'm focused on Magomed Ankalaev. But perhaps he did not know that Jon Jones was about to notify the UFC of his retirement and perhaps get himself into an undisputed heavyweight championship fight with Tom Aspinall. And Dana White said, when talking about Tom Aspinall, we're going to take care of him. We're going to make this worth his while, essentially. So if you had to guess how the UFC is viewing this, is it Pereira? Is it Gane? Is it Almeida? If you had to put odds on it, who's the favorite to fight Tom Aspinall in his first official undisputed heavyweight title defense?
You have to do Alex. I think that now there's just no question. Sometimes the UFC screws up, so maybe they will just be like, all right, whoever's available. But there is a real part to this. Was there are going to be a bunch of people. People probably are already on this corner, but like there are going to be a bunch of people who, to some extent, will rightfully point out the 2 biggest fights of this year coming into 2025 were Ilya Topuria versus Islam Makhachev and Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, and we are not getting either. Neither of those is happening. Now, I never thought we were getting one of them, and I was pretty specious about us getting the other one too, but like those are the fights the fans were gravitating towards, and they're not happening. And you can't deliver nothing, right? Like you can't be like, well, this is the best we got. I know that we say this all the time. The UFC can do whatever they want, but this is one of those situations where I think they're just going to look around and be like, dude, if we try to put Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane out there, the fans are going to revolt. They're just not going to care about this because the delta from Aspinall Jones to Aspinall Gane is so massive. You got to do something with some panache, with something exciting. I think you just have to be like, Alex, we don't care. We just genuinely don't care if you fight Magomed. It's not important to us. Magomed can fight Yuri, and that's fine for us. You should go do this. We can market this. You can have an opportunity to do something nobody has ever done, and Tom can get not the most deserving contender, certainly, but a guy who will add juice to a fight that will otherwise be 100% held in comparison to the fight we aren't getting. No question. You got to do Pereira. I think they'll ultimately figure that out.
I think that's unequivocally the fight they make, just because it's huge, and you're throwing Tom Aspinall a bone for sitting through all of this. And Dana did a nice job at least putting Tom over, as he was willing to do whatever we asked. He would fight Jon on any date, in any place. He was willing to do it. And here we are. So anything else you want to say, Jed? We don't want to take up too much of your time. This is obviously news we love that you're reacting to, but
is the best. I'm really just like, congratulations to Jon Jones. He had a phenomenal career. There's a lot of issues with his career, but he is undeniably one of the very best fighters who's ever lived. I think his heavyweight run is pretty much a stone cold farce, and we should all treat it like such. Like, nobody looks at GSP's legacy and is like, the middleweight belt, that was great and real. Like, he did it. And the Cyril Gane fight, that's a real win, right? Like, that is a real good win. It is very similar to the GSP win over Bisping, honestly. But the Stipe win was nonsense, and this whole prolonged thing is nonsense. This doesn't ruin his legacy. It doesn't ruin his career. His legacy will stand the test of time. Is great. But I think we can, and we should, just be honest about what happened, right? Like, he was a prize fighter in his heavyweight run. He was not here. He did not look to be the best heavyweight on earth. He looked to acquire the shiny trinket and as much money as he could with as minimal risk as possible. And then did everything to gaslight us that Tom doesn't deserve it. And all of that's nonsense. Tom very clearly deserved it. I wish he had fought him. If Jon beats Tom Aspinall, I always thought that the argument that beating Tom did nothing for him was ludicrous, because in my mind, he's just not the real heavyweight champion. Like, his heavyweight title is legitimate, whereas beating Tom, that would have legitimized him as the heavyweight champion. So Shane will never get that, but sometimes things aren't meant to be. And Jon absolutely has the right to be like, man, I've done enough. He's done more than almost anybody ever. So happy trails. I'm glad that we don't have to spend our time on this anymore. I'm glad for Tom Aspinall. And I'm glad that I didn't totally embarrass myself despite my current situation.
Well, we appreciate you jumping on, Jed. Enjoy the rest of your day. Looks like you got some sun.
Got some sun. Gonna go get some more.
You go get them. Thank you, sir.
You gotta take
Jed
Meshew,
down, ladies and gentlemen.
You gotta Miami Vice it for the boat. Take it down, and we're out there.
Oh no, you can't do that.
All right, I'm cutting him off.
Yeah, get him out of here. You're hurting people's feelings.
So I just put a poll up in our comment section, and as you could probably guess, right now, 51% of the fans think Alex Pereira should get the first shot, and 28% have it for Gane. And then I have Almeida at 8%, and I put other there with 13%. I'm not sure. I just want to put another option. I'm not sure who the other would be, but is there another other? Am I missing?
Lewis.
Derek
Lewis. Waldo Cortez Acosta.
We're waiting. TBA. Yeah.
Marcin Tybura.
Tybura.
What about Mo Usman? What about Mo Usman after this big win today? I mean, the sky's the limit. So this wonderful heavyweight division, which hasn't had a finish in over 3 months at this point, which is crazy. Waldo Cortez Acosta has the last finish. And let me just pull this up because we looked this up earlier because it's pretty wild. Salsa Boy got his finish of Ryan Spann on March 15th at a UFC Apex card headlined by Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. March 15th, the last time a heavyweight fight did not go to a decision. Casey Leydon. Isn't that crazy? Over 6 months, not 6 months, over 3 months since we have had a finish in a heavyweight fight.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a day! What a day! All
right.
Keep them coming. What do the peeps say? Let's go to the peeps. Let's party with the peeps for a little while. Yeah, let's just party with the peeps.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's super chats. There's a million things going on.
So many super chats. All right, I'm gonna catch up to the super chats now.
That was a card. 10 decisions. I don't know who was worse, Bisping or that translator. Bobby Atkins. Shout out to the translator. Wore a full tuxedo.
What was the hate on the translator? Come on. What did you do wrong?
It was fine.
It was fine.
Don't hate the game. We're a classic. Yeah. I mean, just a classic black tux with the bow tie, just knocking it out of the park.
Like,
He did the best he could.
I think he showed up for work. He's wearing a tuxedo. He's like, "Oh crap, I overdressed." He's like,
Yeah. Oh, nobody called me. Business.
yeah, I thought this was a big thing, guys.
Yeah, he was dressed to be like the father of the bride and not the translator of the fighter. But
Hey,
yeah.
man,
Bisping got a tough night.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But what a big day! Like Jones retirement, we saw a man in a tuxedo in the cage. It's been a while since we've seen that. It's a big day.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was. Look, I mean, tough scenes out there. It was not the most thrilling card. We did get one of the best fights of the year, so we can't complain about everything. I liked Fiziev Baha Mondays. Main event was interesting in its own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about the main event. Yeah. Back to the main event. I was bummed how Jamal Hill was kind of. I felt content with losing a decision, and when I kind of, like you said, I believe it. Like, would have been better for Jamal Hill just to go F it and just start, swinging his arms, going all itchy and scratchy, and just. I'm just gonna go out there and whatever happens. And he would have got knocked out, but maybe we would have had more. I don't know if respect's the wrong word, but we would look forward to what's up next for Hill if he kind of just went out there in that last round and just went for it rather than just my legs hurt, I'm gonna take a decision. But that would have been another knockout loss, so I don't know. So yeah, but yeah, a lot of decisions. You're right.
A lot of them.
Spencer.
But shout out to the pacifist parlay that hit that I put together on the People's Pre-Fight show. Over 1.5 for Hamdi and Usman. Over 1.5 for God, I don't even have it. It's too much going on. Fiziev Baha Mondays, the Curtis Blades fight, and the flyweight fight, which is actually really good too. Tagir Ulanbekov and Azat Maxim. Yeah, that was a good fight. So yeah, I hit that. That was good. And then I hit the Fiziev dog ticket. So it was great. Spencer, Mike, you and Jed broke down the main event perfectly. JH needed to get on the inside and fight dirtier. I love Fiziev's performance. Just saying him versus BSD would be fire. Yeah, it'd be a good fight.
Yeah, Jamal Hill. Yeah,
Fiziev versus Tawfiq Musayev is going to rock when that fight happens, because that's going to happen at some point. It's just not going to happen right now.
Not right now.
I think Fiziev's a tough out for a lot of these guys.
Sorry. This is
thoughts on certain media members pushing for should be convicted rapist Gable Stevenson to join MMA in the UFC. I mean,
I do not know enough about that to speak on it confidently. But I do, just because I haven't looked into the whole Gable Stevenson thing very much. But I knew there were some allegations and accusations. So that's all I can really say, because I just
he was on
it, to be honest.
Arrested on suspicion of criminal sexual conduct June 2019 along with the teammate. However, no criminal charges were filed due to a lack of adequate evidence. So that's I mean, charges were dropped. So I mean, that's all we could say. But yeah.
Thank you, J-Rob.
I mean, I get why people would feel a certain way about this. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm not dismissing anything.
It is I'm not either. But that's not going to stop the UFC from signing him. Greg Hardy was not only was Greg Hardy signed to the UFC, he was pushed heavily in the UFC. Pushed heavily. Cedric Dumas is about to fight on an International Fight Week pay-per-view next week, after everything he's done and continues to go through.
That was a weird
one.
That was so weird.
Yeah. I mean, this is not going to stop the UFC from signing him.
All right.
At all. He's with WWE under the TKO umbrella, so yeah.
Yeah.
They will sign him in 5 seconds.
Yeah, we are living in that world, J-Rob. So Ben.
Turtle should have gotten a bonus. Was Herb the ref? Herb was not the ref. It was the GC lookalike who was the ref.
But Herb was like the outside ref. Remember they were talking through the
Herb
cage?
was like the consulting ref.
Yeah.
So I have to like go back and rewatch it because I don't know exactly how it went down. But like some people took it as, well, the referee didn't know what to do, so he talked to Herb Dean. He was like, "Yo, Herb, what should I do?" And others are saying he went to Herb and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take some points away." And Herb was just like, "Yeah, cool. I understand why you would take points away." And then he did. He took 2 points. So it was just a weird situation. I'm stunned that fight didn't end with a DQ loss.
Weird. It was weird when they asked the doctor tell me if he can still fight, when it was really the fighter who says that. I remember that was a weird situation. The ref asked the doctor, "Can he continue?" It was like, I think it's actually the fighter's call. The doctor can stop the fight, but I don't think the doctor can say, "Nah, he's good. He's a big boy."
But the ref could also use his discretion and be like, "Yeah, man, that was tough. We're stopping this thing," and it's a DQ loss. Now it makes Turtle look better because he gamed it out and still won, so that's kind of cool for him. But
that was the first moment Jon Jones was mentioned on the fight card because the 2-point deduction, which is a great call by the ref.
Actually, I think it was the second time because of the duck comment.
So
yes, the Anthony Smith one. I forgot that was 2 points.
2 points.
I forgot it was
points.
2.
Yeah, it was because it was so egregious. So that should have been a DQ. Iron Turtle was kind of stupid for continuing to fight, especially if that big cut, because if that cut would have opened up for later in the fight he would have lost because of that cut. Because once you kind of agree to fight, then you're agreed to fight. So, but luckily you won, and Iron Turtled it. So, it was a risky move, but it just strengthens the legend of the Iron Turtle.
Yeah, the refereeing as a whole was pretty shitty tonight, but that's nothing new.
Yeah,
the 2 points is cool, and there were like certain things, but like again, egregious fence grabbing. We had 2 illegal blows in one of the women's fights.
Oh, yeah.
We got to start just a couple of stern warnings. Like there was like a fence grab at like every single fight, and there was like nothing. It was so frustrating.
Yeah, but
it is the way of life. Referees don't want to be responsible.
I still think they should be. Okay, we're not going to talk about that. Okay. Jerome Newton, sorry. Oops.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. There you go.
For now, we'll see.
The nightmare is over. Eamon report, Aspinall just lost on a big payday. Gone is next. How do you know that? I don't think Aspinall missed out on a big payday. I think the UFC is going to take pretty damn good care of him now. When Dana says glowing things like that, he's going to take care of Tom. Is he going to pay Tom $30 million a fight? Probably not, but they will try to make the Alex Pereira fight, which would be huge. It's the biggest fight he can have right now with John out.
That'd be great.
But who gives a shit? At this point, like, I just want to see Aspinall in there fighting people. It doesn't matter who he fights. It truly doesn't.
Yeah, it's been so long. It's just like, how long has it been now? Like, there's November a year coming up?
It'll be a year in July.
Oh, year in July. Okay, almost. So we're 11 months now. So almost 12 months, almost full year. Yeah, jeez. Yeah, he's missed out on paydays already. So don't worry. Yeah. He has already missed out on paydays because of this.
He won the title in November 2023. He's fought once since November 2023.
Oh, jeez. This is a silly question.
Uh-oh. Would it be possible for John to go to PFL? PS, bring back heck of a morning. Maybe on the latter, no on the former. There's no. You think they'll let him retire and just go to PFL? Like, no way. Zero chance that happens. He's
under contract.
He's still under contract, like as a fighter to the UFC. Like if he's going to fight, he has to fight for them. So yeah, he can't just be like, yeah, I'm retired, I'm never fighting again. And then like 6 weeks later, Don Davis comes on a town hall and says, Jon Jones, Francis Ngannou happening. PFL, let's go. Doesn't work that way.
Yes. All right.
Chris, what number was we did this one, didn't we?
Did we? No. But what?
10 million, 20 million? I think it was higher, but whatever. I don't know for sure, but my guess is it was higher. And again, based on reporting we had heard from very respected media members who typically don't get things wrong, the UFC met his number and it still didn't happen. So
yeah. And for the fans out there, if UFC would have paid Jones $20 million, the UFC was gonna make $50 million. They were gonna make more than enough to cover that.
Yeah.
Don't. They can afford it, and still make their profit margins, whatever they have.
They're about to sign $1 billion television rights deal.
Yeah.
Per year, $1 billion per year deal. Yeah. For streaming rights and television rights.
That's not including all those little ads you can buy on the Octagon too.
Yep. They ain't crying. They ain't crying poor. I can tell you that right now.
All right. MMA Fanatic.
How bad does the UFC look now after not delivering on consecutive heavyweight super fights? Again, they don't care. Like they do not care. The beat goes on. Dana's going to be a Fanatics Fest tomorrow, promoting Crawford Canelo, being at the press conference. He's probably do some other media hits about this. And then it's going to be International Fight Week. And yeah, we'll certainly talk about it. And Dana will probably talk about it when he speaks with media during International Fight Week. But yeah, it's just, they'll be fine. It's not going to change anything. This fight was never going to happen. So like literally it changes nothing except now that Dana is officially waving the white flag and saying that it's over. John's done and we're not fighting.
It doesn't hurt the UFC's business, but what it does hurt is whenever UFC says the UFC makes the fights the fans want. We can now say, well,
we've been saying that for a long time.
But yeah, they've done this plenty of times. Like this is the Fedor Randy Couture thing again, I guess.
Fedor Brock.
Brock. It's like giant fights that were right there, and they just couldn't make it happen. And then, but in a couple of months, Dana's gonna be yelling about boxing, going, "Look, boxing can't make the fights that the UFC can." So whatever. Promoter talk.
They'll be again. They will be fine. They will get past this pretty quickly, and that's it.
Ooh, this is interesting. Super chat from Luke.
Luke, think Dana White starts pooping on Jon to reel him back? No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do you think
he did the pooping? He did the pooping already. Jon ain't gonna fall for it.
But real pooping. But I think they both have poop on each other. So I think they're both gonna be nice.
Yeah, publicly. I mean, Jon's been pretty respectful, like through all of this. About Dana. Like anytime he's asked about Dana, he puts Dana over. Dana usually puts Jon over. And that's it. Like, I don't think Dana, at least from the quotes that I read, I don't think he said anything disrespectful at all. So, yeah. I think he'll put Jon over as one of the all-time greats. And, yeah. If Jon wants to come back, he will make it happen.
It doesn't really benefit either one's pocket bank accounts for them to poop on each other publicly.
No.
Saying this.
And look, the only way this hurts the UFC in any way is that, again, as I brought up earlier, the newer fan base that they seem to want to bring in, which are the people who are not fight fans, really. They are the people who think they can beat up all the fighters because I see red. And if that happens, there isn't a soul, Alex Pereira, anybody that I can't beat up. Those people, the social media influencer group, so to speak, that are brought in by them, they are now seeing for the first time that Dana said something and did not deliver. And
yeah, that's true.
Dana can still, in some way, say this is Jon's fault, but like in a respectful manner to take like the pressure off of him for the promises that he made and couldn't really keep here. But again, the fan base, it's like an escalator. You go up and down, some go up and then they're like, oh, I'm done. And then they come down and they don't go back up again. Like there's a very small window for the average MMA fan. I think it used to be like 5 years. I think it's probably close to 2 or 3 now. And then guess what? They'll leave, and then the next crop will come in, and they will hear Dana for the first time, and they'll think they will gravitate towards everything he says. It's a cycle that continues on, and that's that. It's all good.
Yeah,
but
that's how it goes.
The fans are going to be pissed about this, but again, from a business perspective, this does not hurt the UFC one bit. Not one bit. They will still sell it every place they go to. They will do record-breaking gates. They will charge $700 for the worst seat in the house, and people will pay it. Mm-hmm. And then again, they're going to sign $1 billion a year television rights deal. They are not going to be hurting by any of this.
And foreign governments will pay you millions of dollars to bring your circus to their country.
Correct.
Hey, yep. We get daytime MMA for it. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, they're gonna make more. They're gonna make more money after this.
Yeah. Super chat from Chase. I did not forget about you, Chase. I saw your comment.
Does Jon's legacy look less as bad if Tom lays an egg in his next fight? As a Jones glazer from the age of 11, seeing him duck a man is so crazy to me. So that's interesting. Like if they book Tom versus Pereira, and Pereira boops Tom, knocks him out in the first round, wins the heavyweight title, becomes a 3-division champion. Does this help Jon? Does this make his legacy better?
He comes out of retirement.
Oh, well, that is very true. Okay. What if it's...
But I know what you're saying, though.
What if Jailton... Because Jones already beat Gon, so that doesn't really help. That could help Jon in some way. But what if it's if Aspinall fights Almeida and Almeida tackles him and taps him in a round? Does that help Jon's overall legacy at all, or does that do nothing?
It's going to make it look silly that Jon ducked Aspinall then. So I don't think it does anything. I think it just makes we had all that drama for that. Jon, you could have beat that guy. You know?
That's interesting.
You let Almeida beat him, and that could have been you, you know? That's about it.
That's interesting, yeah.
But I think if they can anyone can spin it any way they want, you know, until those guys fight each other. But it's not going to happen now. Every day, Tommy's getting better, Jon's getting older. So it's just not going to happen.
Of course, Jailton Almeida makes the call out, which he should. Congrats, champ. You deserve that. Now let's make the only fight that makes sense. Aspinall versus Almeida for undisputed heavyweight title of the world. Gon ducks you and me before. Already fought for the belt and lost 2 times. And his last one was a robbery. Jailton trying to get his...
He's trying. That's cute. He's trying.
He's a trier. Hey, closed mouths don't get fed.
You got to try. You got to try.
He did better than Curtis Blades did.
Oh, jeez, Curtis Blades. Oh, sitting, just hobbling with his torn MCL. Everyone's just like, oh.
Yeah, I'll fight Cyril Gahn. Let's go. And I'm just like, no, you're not fighting Cyril Gahn.
Super chat from Luke. We got this a little bit ago, but
yeah, looking like an extra Dead Poets Society. That's good. That was very good. Well done.
What a hero move by Jed to come out from the boat and freshen up. And
I was hoping you'd be on the boat.
That's what I told him.
Floating in the middle of the lake.
I was like, he was like, yeah. I was messaging him. He's like, how do I do it? He's like, just hold your phone up, man. He's just like, we'll get a decent connection. We'll make it work.
So funny.
He's like, all right, give me some time. Let me clean up.
He's just floating in a tube in the middle of the lake, reacting to Jon. That'd be very funny.
All right. Another super chat from Luke.
Do you guys want merit or big fights? Everyone always complains about unwarranted title shots, but Pereira just keeps getting thrown into this. There is no merit at heavyweight, though. That's the problem. Is there who is the clear-cut number 1 contender for the UFC heavyweight title? Because it ain't Cyril Gahn. Gahn is not you can't just say Cyril Gahn is undeniable. Jailton Almeida is undeniable. There is nobody that is undeniable right now. Tom is the only one, and he was has the interim belt to prove it. There is no undeniable guy right now.
Are we talking? The problem with this question, you always have to kind of preface it by: are we talking sport or are we talking prize fighting? 2 different things. Sometimes they're the same. A lot of times they're different. We're talking about Pereira. That's prize fighting. That's big fights. without a doubt, it's Pereira's fight. Most of the time, we're talking about prize fighting, and that's why it's going to go Pereira. If we're talking merit, yeah, I get it. It's a little up for debate. It shouldn't go to Pereira.
If we're doing merit, then Tom doesn't fight for a while. Cyril Gane fights Jailton Almeida. The winner of that fight fights Tom. Like if we're living in a true meritocratic world, Tom has to wait for a number one contender fight to happen because we don't have one right now. So do we want Tom to wait for the meritocratic thing to go down and crown an actual number one contender? Or do we get Tom in there in a big fight against a big name and get the man paid? This one I'm okay with. Like Yair Rodriguez getting a title fight against Volkanovski, if they did that card in Mexico because it would be big for the Guadalajara crowd, that I'm not okay with. Like that is a big fight for that market, sure, because it's Yair in a main event. Like that's huge for them, but that's silly. No one was interested in that. Everyone's like, well, Movzar should get the shot, or like literally anybody else, because we just saw Volk perfect game Yair. So there's no interest in that fight. It just I guess it kind of just depends on the situation, but at heavyweight, there is no guy right now. So why not just chuck Pereira in there?
It was funny you were talking about that, and I was like, let me look at my rankings. Merit wise, if you go by rankings, obviously it should be Francis, but that he's out of the running. But merit wise, on my rankings, it should be Volkov, because I had Volkov win. I just realized. Imagine they booked that. Aspinall's first title defense against Volkov, coming off that split decision loss. Because I had Volkov winning that fight. I think Dana had. Is that the same fight? Dana was like, "Oh, you won that fight." Am I thinking of the same fight? When
yeah.
Dana kind of basically told,
100%.
Okay, yeah. So, I forgot the Gane one. I forgot it was off that horrible decision too. Yeah, which made everything even muddier. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like if we're looking at, and our rankings are like, Phil DeFries should probably be ranked higher in all of our rankings. The dude's had like 12 consecutive title defenses or something ridiculous like that. Like Phil DeFries is probably like the most deserving of a UFC title fight, even though he's not in the UFC.
Yeah,
There's just nobody there right now. Pavlovich is 1-2 in his last 3. Blades just barely beat an unranked dude.
Do like it when they sign Kai Asakura. Yeah, just bring him in. Straight title shot. Just
sure.
Yeah. Phil DeFries.
What's Rebellis to Spain doing? Bring him back.
Bring him back.
I mean, who cares? Like again, who cares? Who cares? Whoever he fought, like I'll keep saying it. Derek Lewis talks to Talis to share in 2 weeks. Fucking throw him in there. Who cares? Who cares?
Oh man, so many wild stories. Super chat from Chris. Ooh.
Is it too early to say Jamal Hill is a gatekeeper? It's an interesting question.
Like you gotta beat Jamal Hill if you want to contend for a title. Like, is he gonna be that guy? Yeah, what did we talk about? What's next for Jamal Hill? Where is he? Like you said like he needed to win more than anyone else. Now he didn't get the win. What's the fallout now for JamalLl?
Jamal Hill's never fighting for a UFC belt again.
Okay.
Like that's
the fallout. He's just one of those guys.
He's never fighting for a title again, unless like something insane happens, where a fighter falls out the day before and Jamal just happens to be the backup fighter, and like he's not
discounting weird Joe Soto type title shots. Like an actual legitimate. I agree. I have a hard time seeing Jamal Hill work his way back up to a legitimate title shot.
I think you give him. I want Ulberg to fight Dominic Reyes. That's what I want to see. I want to give Dominic Reyes his chance to like fight for the belt one more time. Like let's just give it to him and see. Especially if they're gonna bump Pereira up. Like have Reyes fight Ulberg, winner fights for the belt. Like I know it's kind of weird, but that's just where we're at. Yuri is just kind of chilling. I guess he wants to get some sort of degree or some sort of educational thing
He's taking
done.
some time off, right? Is he kind of?
Yeah, he's doing some education or taking some classes or something. He wants to finish that before he fights again, which total respect, cool with that.
Yeah, take some time off.
Jamal Hill might be fighting Azamat Mirzakhanov next. Like that might be the kind of fight he gets next.
Okay.
Or Minyang Zhang if he beats I mean the UFC has still not announced that Johnny Walker fight. So I assume that's happening, but I don't know.
Who's Zhang fighting?
Johnny Walker. At least that's like the reports and stuff on that Shanghai card. But the UFC has not announced this fight yet, and we're 2 months away. But if they haven't booked that, I would have no issue of throwing Minyang Zhang in there with Jamal Hill like right now, like next fight.
So who gets the next title shot versus Ankalaev if Prayer is going up? And Yuri's out because he's doing his thing.
I would book Olberg versus Reyes, and the winner of that fights Ankalaev.
All right.
But you got to book it pretty quick. Yuri would be the guy. Like if Yuri's ready to fight, like he gets the first right of refusal, I would say. But it doesn't look like Yuri is in a hurry to fight right now. So maybe if, like they say, Ankalaev, wait till November, December, Yuri will be ready. Then we can do that. But yeah, light heavyweights. You could throw Roundtree in there if you wanted to.
I'm gonna be a little crazy and say
6 out of 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna be kind of crazy and say I don't mind Reyes getting a straight title shot.
I don't mind it either.
I mean, it's got a storyline. It's got the storyline. Yeah. He's on a good win streak. It's easy to sell. I don't know, and then
if he wins, it'd be like one of the most feel good stories ever.
Yeah, I mean that's why I kind of don't want to do the Olberg Reyes fight because there's so few contenders. I hate for one of them kind of knock each other out. But I mean the fight does make sense, but I'm kind of okay with Reyes just getting a title shot.
That'd be so sick.
I don't want to really complain. Like, he should get one more win, but whatever. Whatever. Thank you.
Can you imagine the hero Dominic Reyes would be in the MMA community if he went in there and won the belt? That'd be insane.
That would be wild. I mean, dude, I would find joy of us going back into our old archives of all our shows going, Dominic Reyes, he's washed, and all of a sudden, boom,
Yeah.
That would be probably one of the most insane, well, I don't want to jump ahead yet, insane career comebacks in the history of mixed martial arts if he can get a title, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're like begging him to retire. We're just like, please don't
we're
fight
like,
again.
yeah.
We don't want you to die. Like,
yeah.
I thought Yuri permanently hurt him with that knockout. Yeah. And then he got done up by Span in his next fight, which was like just as bad. Yeah. But look at him now. Look at him now. All right, what else?
Super chat. Oh, here we go.
Does Baja Mondays need to bulk up to 170? He looked like death in the cage, in my opinion. I don't think he needs to now, but I think that's coming at some point.
At some point, he might want to try it just to see what it's like to fight at a high level at 170. Like the difference tonight when he fought Fiziev is like, yeah, he obviously has great length and he can hit you from very far away. But because of, that size, he does lack maybe some power. And the power just wasn't there to really change Fiziev's game. Fiziev could just take all those shots because Fiziev's just, bulky Hulk of a dude. Like they look like two different weight classes in there, but Fiziev didn't matter. He was still getting inside and still hurting.
Dude's really good. Like he's a very good lightweight.
Fiziev?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're talking about it though, but it's internally, like I think Fiziev is like, he might be one of like those kind of that category of fighter, like best ever fighter, never actually fight for a title. I think he's that good. He just has. I mean, like his two losses, high level losses, were to freaking Gaethje. I'm not gonna count the Gamrot loss. That's something different. But he lost to Gaethje in two very competitive fights that I kind of thought he won the first one. Clearly, the second one he lost coming in short notice, but it was up for grabs and coming into that third round. And, so Fiziev, he's still right there. I mean, if you told me Fiziev is gonna have a belt around his waist, in a year and a half, I'd be like, that's wild, but very believable too.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they book him next. I mean, there's so many fun options. So
Redo the Gamrot fight.
I'd be okay with that. Kind of want to see Gamrot BSD, but we could do Fiziev BSD.
Yeah, all
Do
fun.
Gamrot. No wrong way. It's the best division in the sport.
Yeah. There's still Jed's
Fiziev against anybody.
Yeah,
It is. Yeah, it's no wrong way to eat these Reese's.
Nope.
But there's no wrong way to book lightweight right now.
Those guys. Yeah. Why can't every weight class be like that?
That's the best.
At heavyweight, we're like grasping for straws. Like, maybe, I guess, But lightweight, like you can't f up lightweight. You're just like, I don't know, have those guys fight. Cool. That's awesome.
It's all good. All of them
good.
work.
Super chat from Morty.
No to Alex. Fix the division. Grab a random heavy. Would you like to give us a name? Again, I'm with you to some degree. The grab a random heavy is fine. Just get him in there. But I think the UFC owes him for riding this out as long as he did. Let's give him a fat bag of money. Have him fight Pereira and get all the pay-per-view points. Be the A side. Get the champion's money. All that stuff. Main event spot. Like, do that. Give it to him. He deserves it.
Yeah. Just do it.
You're not going to fix this division just yet. We got years. Like, there's some good ones coming up. Like Josh Hokett's going to be a guy that going to do very well in the UFC, but he's still got to get there. He's fighting on Contender Series this summer. He is going to annihilate whoever he fights, I'm sure, because dude is real, real good. So yeah, they'll have some guys coming, but
just take slow time.
It's going to take several years for this division to come back.
Luna.
Just want to say, I missed you guys. Jones caused a personal boycott of MMA due to what he was doing to MMA. Can't wait to dive back in. Luna, welcome back. The nightmare is over.
The nightmare is over.
This is a glorious day.
Nightmare is
over. Glorious day.
What a weird. Can you imagine? Go back in time. Jon Jones just beat Shogun Rua, and then 15 years later we'll be like, the nightmare is over. Jon's finally left the sport. Just the story of Jon Jones to him winning that belt to now oh God, he retired, thank God.
No, it's not. But see, that's I certainly see how people would spin it in this way. The nightmare is over for me is Dana White saying into a live microphone, we're not making Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall.
It's just a Jones story. Yeah, I know you mean, but it's just the UFC and Dana moving on is the whole thing. Jon could have literally tweeted out 3 months ago, I'm never fighting again. I'm retired. And this would not have come out of his mouth. It wouldn't have. Jon has tweeted so many times, the UFC knows my plans. I have no interest in fighting for months. And it was like, we'll get it done 100%. And now today of all days in Baku, Azerbaijan, no better place. Not a Fanatics Fest tomorrow, which would have been huge blockbuster news. Aren't they paying them for that?
They dropped it in good old Baku. So yeah.
I really wish it was Dave Shaw that said the news.
Can you imagine that?
I really wish.
Oh
I'm honestly, I'm kind of disappointed in Dana. I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest. It wasn't Dave Shaw.
Poor Dave Shaw, who sat cage side too. So I was like, oh God, we're definitely gonna get a Dave Shaw press conference.
That's funny. All right.
Anything else?
Welcome back, Luna. Oh, we got a few more. Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's keep going. More prestige, better fight. Tom versus Ankh, Tom versus Alex.
Oh, prestige? Oh, Alex.
Alex, certainly.
Ankh might
better
be the
fight.
Ankh actually probably the better fight as far as using all the martial arts.
I think Tom just ravages both those dudes. I don't think it matters really. Alex at least has that booping chance, I guess.
I don't know. Ank's a low key booper too, but yeah, I get Alex
Yeah.
booping too. Yeah, I mean he's just.
But Ank Pereira wants to go in there and boop. Like he just wants to go in there and boop you out of there. Ank just wants to win. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, this is a sport after all, and you would like to win. But, whoa. Oh, hey. I mean, I guess like if we're looking at it from a sporting perspective, Tom versus Ank would give us like more to break down and more to talk about. More so than Tom versus Alex, because Tom versus Alex is kind of an easy breakdown. If Alex doesn't boop him, Tom's going to finish him. Like, that's just kind of how this plays out. So Tom versus Ank could get slow and sloggy at times, and I don't know. So guess Ank by a nose in the better fight department, but Pereira by 3 global rotations in the more prestige department.
And this just shows you how little we give a crap about the whole 2 belt thing. The fact that Ank will be going for 2 belts at the same time, like whatever, it's been done. Like we don't like that's not even something that's even a consideration as far as like the coolness factor of the fight.
Yeah, I have no interest in seeing. I'd rather see Ank like with Jon out now. Like I would be curious to see like how many times Ank can defend this belt. May not be pretty, may not be the most thrilling fights you've ever seen, but make no mistake about it. This guy is very good. And there is a real world looking at the current crop of light heavyweights that Ankalaev could win like 8 straight title defenses. Like it's easy. Like it could, not to say easy, but
I know
it's very possible.
You like with the people he has available to fight now, you see a path to victory on like with like 8 different guys or eight
pretty
defenses.
much all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them. I would pick him to beat Pereira if they fought again. Like, and that to me is probably like that'd probably be the toughest fight, honestly.
The year fight, of course, would be fun because that's always going to be fun.
I'd pick Ank to win, but Yuri's always
pick Ank to win, but yeah, you just never know. Yeah. Fine. More super chats.
See the real GOAT. Look at Amanda Nunes. She comes out of retirement to fight the up and comer that is trying to take her crown. Real GOAT, not a duck. Yeah, but let's.
Yeah, well, Amanda Nunes
until I hear an announcement that fight is happening, then I will like. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, Amanda's not back in the testing pool. Like Kayla, I don't know how many times she can cut to 135. Like I still have a million questions about how that fight can happen. Like, is the UFC willing to loosen the straps a little bit in order to make that happen? Do it at 145, maybe do a women's BMF fight or bring back the women's featherweight belt in order for that to go down. I don't know. Nunes saying maybe the end of the year, perhaps. I don't know. But I do like it. Like the fact that Nunes is going to come back and fight Kayla, like that's huge. That's huge. Right. Nunes left at the right time because there's like literally nobody left for her to fight. She had to fight Irini Aldana in her last fight. Like, I think when she kind of looks back on, and at that point she was so far ahead in the women's GOAT conversation that I was just like, all right, I'm bored. I'll just be the best ever. And then since she retired, like that gap's closed a little bit with Jon and Valentina. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll have the Amanda Nunes GOAT conversation later, but yeah, I love the fact she's coming back. It makes sense. Does it have to be at 35 for the belt? Can it just be? Can she fight Kayla just for fun? Not for fun, but for like at a 45 belt, at a 40 or something. Like, would you care?
No, I wouldn't care at all.
Just kind of curious. If like this is the belt.
The UFC should just do like me and Jed, me especially. I've been saying this since like Heck of Warning was a thing. Just get rid of just get rid of the bantamweight division as a whole and just make anything above 127 like women's heavyweight. Like just do 135 to like bantamweight to featherweight can all be one division. And just call it like bantherweight or whatever you want to call it. Just combine them. Who gives a shit? One belt, one weight class, but it's just a bigger disparity. No one's going to care.
All right. More super chats. From Luke. This is an interesting one.
Luke. So many coffees from Luke. I appreciate it. What can the UFC do to grow the heavyweight division? Pay more money? I mean, that's literally the answer.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard it
I
before.
mean, there's lots they can do, but it all comes down to that. Because any athletic, big, huge athlete is not going to choose fighting as a professional sport first. They're going to choose literally anything else that pays millions and millions and millions of dollars. They will play baseball, they'll play football, they will play basketball, and they will try to accomplish that dream well before they establish themselves as an MMA fighter. I talked to Josh Hokett. He's 24, great college football player. He's a terrific college wrestler. Got drafted by the 49ers, was signed to multiple NFL teams, and then COVID hit. And once COVID hit, he got released from like 2 different teams. And then he was just like, all right, like this pro football dream is over and I can't be a professional wrestler. I mean, so I have to try this MMA thing. He had been training for a while. He's like, I'm going to give this a go. And turned out he's really damn good at it. So it's just one of those situations where these big, huge heavyweight athletes are going to try other sports where they're paid much more. And that's really what it comes down to.
And money.
Also, the UFC needs to be a sport where they are not just like an organization. They are like a professional sports team that have like scouting departments and all this stuff. Like Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard are good at their jobs. They matchmake very well. But at the same time, like it is impossible for just those 2 guys to go out there and scout talent. Like they have, it's impossible. It truly is impossible. Like they need to get like MMA scouts in like every part of the country and in the world, really scouting these guys, finding the best of the best to get in there and fight. I mean, if this is what we're trying to do here, if you kind of look at how Contender Series has gone, because like I'm not going to beat the Contender Series drum again, but the first 2 seasons of the Contender Series, legitimately they took it super seriously. They went out and found literally the best fighters not in the UFC and had them all fight each other. Regional champions from every major promotion were all fighting each other in main events. Like we're getting like dream fights. If you were like a hardcore MMA fan, the Kaposes of the world were like seeing Matt Bissett and Kurt Holloway headline the first Contender Series card. I was like, holy shit, dude. Like the Titan FC champ versus the CES champ. Like this is sick. This is what we were looking for. And now it's just like, who's this fighter managed by? Oh, he'll take a small 10-10 contract if he gets in. Let's bring them on. And then it just turned into, how can we conduct business in the right way? Let's just give everybody contracts. We can cut some of the fighters who lose, who make 75 and 75, and we'll just give the roster an influx of 12 and 12 fighters. And it was funny seeing some of these fighters just say, no, I'm not fighting for that. Peace out. I'll go fight Rico Verhoeven in freaking Glory. And that's that. Like, I'm not going to accept that. So yeah, there's a lot that needs to change, but money is the biggest thing.
We just look at why doesn't UFC heavyweight division grow? One of the guys just left because of the money. But Rico Verhoeven.
I don't even think it was because of the money. Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, Artem. Artem. Yeah. He was like, nah, I'm good.
Nah, I got a way better deal over here. Thanks, though.
I don't think Artem, and I don't know for sure, but Artem probably didn't ask for like 6 figures a fight, but he probably asked for like a little more than like the 12 and 12 he would have gotten if he signed. And they were just like, no. And he was like, all right, peace out. I'll go fight Rico and make way more money.
Yeah. Like way more money. Training is a lot less crazy.
Yeah. No one's going to tackle me. Like it's all good.
Okay. A couple more super chats before we get out of this hour and 45-minute post UFC Baku post show.
Golly. That's worth it. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Wait, hold on. Okay, let's just. Is there anything else on the card we need to talk about? An actual card. Let me see. Before I go to the next. Okay, we got to
No.
see Curtis Blades.
Tagirlin Bekov is good.
Okay,
Maxim is also good.
How about this? Kuniev. You kind of contend Blades looked bad. I contend that Kuniev looked actually pretty good. Where are we at?
I'm still 80-20 on Blades, and I'm not going to say I was vindicated, but I definitely felt better about Blades saying, like, I got really hurt in this fight, like early on, tore and meniscus. He looked bad, especially in the last 2 rounds. Like, Blades looked bad. Having said that, I know people were really up in arms about Blades getting that decision. And I will say, just kind of like digging deep, I did too. I thought Blades won the 3rd round. So I thought he won the fight. Yeah. I didn't have money on Kuniev. I bet, like, if you were holding a Kuniev ticket and you lost that decision, you're probably a little pissed. I get it. But I thought Blades won that round. Like, he landed the best strikes of the round. He did kind of like hold Kuniev against the fence for like 2.5 minutes, but he did deliver some damage before that. And then Kuniev's best moment happened in like the last 5 seconds of the fight. And I don't think that was enough to win it, but certainly wasn't a robbery. But the bigger takeaway for me was, yeah, Blades doesn't look that great in these last 10 minutes. And I think we have kind of know why, because he was hurt, or at least he says he was hurt. And Kuniev is a little bit better than I thought he was going to be, but like Kuniev's not going to fight for a belt or anything.
I think I'm not saying that, but I thought Kuniev looked decent. I thought Kuniev. I got like my rankings, but there's a good chance I might rank him in the top 15. You know, based on the loss and how competitive the loss was, but or where I moved Blades back in the rankings on the win.
Well, he might actually. Shit. Well, Blades is getting bumped for me.
He's like, whatever you have him at now, he's going back a spot despite winning.
So I had Blades at 7 heading into this fight. I'm jumping Phil DeFries to 7, and everybody else is dropping back a spot. Like, we have to give Phil DeFries we got to give this man his respect. This dude just doesn't lose and hasn't lost in forever. He just continuously defends his belt all the time, keeps winning. Like, let's give him his respect.
Agreed.
I can't like rank Almeida above him because Blades finished him not long ago. So, but now Jon Jones is out. So Waldo Cortez Acosta is going to get ranked after his last win. He has to. He beat Sergey Spivak.
I know he has to. It's just this is where we are. It's weird.
So I don't know. Maybe Kuniev sneaks in there. I don't know.
Hey,
maybe he sneaks into the 15 by like default. Like, this is like women's bantamweighty type of situation where it's just like, damn, we need to find somebody to put in there, but it probably will not be him. But he made a better showing of himself than I thought he would. But I mostly attribute that to Blades not being at his best.
Fair enough. Any other fights? Oh, I thought the Korean kid, Ko.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's against Oban Elliott. I thought he looked awesome. I just didn't know who he was at all. And then maybe the fact that he's called the Korean Tyson, and then all of a sudden he's like this amazing top control grappler who just worked Elliott, and ran a very impressive unanimous decision. I don't know how good Ko is. How do you say Ko? Was it Ko? I can't remember. But I don't remember how I don't know how good he's going to be, but it was a very impressive win, and I'm actually excited to see him fight again. So
yeah, he looked great. I didn't expect him to win, but as we kept kind of telling you on all our shows, Oban Elliott at -500 is just ridiculous. And it's no disrespect to him. Just Oban he's incredibly untested. His wins are Val Woodburn, Preston Parsons, and Basil Hafez. And the Hafez fight, if memory serves me correctly, was like he looked good in that fight. And then the 3rd round, he like really took over and got him out of there. But like,
and if Elliott would have won tonight, we would have said the same thing. Still untested, because like we didn't know who this guy was other than good record. So it was kind of a no-win situation for Elliott in a sense.
I get it
tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gotten the rub from Chael, and he got it from Ariel, and I want to give that.
I want to give props to Elliott for a guy who doesn't. I don't expect to be a top 10. He might break top 15. No, if he does, that's awesome. But the way he kind of just presented, went out there, did a lot of media, let us know his personality, his story. It got us invested, and I think people
pro
kind
wrestling
of
fan.
people cared about him, and I think as a fighter, you are your own self, you're your own business. He did a great job that people, the fact that we even know who he is and are talking about him for a guy who really, isn't the biggest prospect, but he seems to be, he gets himself out there in a good way. It doesn't kind of force himself. His personality is just kind of natural. So that's all.
Yeah.
I think seems like a good dude. Took a loss tonight, and we'll see what happens. That's all.
And I like him a lot. I don't think he's like a top 15-ish kind of fighter, but that's okay. Welterweight is a very good division, as we've seen. But here's what I really like about him most. After the loss, he goes on Instagram. He's got the big bandage over his eye where he got cut up and doesn't make a single excuse. Says, I was as prepared, as ready as I could ever be for a fight, and I got my ass kicked tonight. That's what he said. Verbatim. Wasn't I dared to be great? I had a toe injury coming in. I had jet lag from the travel. It was none of that. It was, I did everything I could possibly do to get ready for this fight. I was so pumped, ready to go. A+ training camp, no injuries, and dude kicked my ass. Love that. Absolutely love that. He took it on the chin. He even said, I'm going to take it like a man, and I'm going to go back and be better, and I'll be back. That's how you take a loss. So shout out to Oban Elliott for that.
Yeah, I guess that's my point of him. Just because he's not gonna be a champion doesn't mean you can't be a fan or whatever. We can criticize
exactly.
Him, but and that's what's good about Oban Elliott. The fact that I know his name, I don't say I know his name. I don't have to look him up. I was and for a guy that is not gonna be a top ranked guy, I know his name without having to do anything stupid. Just be himself. And I want more of that.
Nate Landwehr's never winning a UFC title. He's never going to win a UFC title, but no one cares. We love him. He says cool shit on the mic.
Yeah.
Got an incredible personality. You just sort of gravitate towards him. And then when he fights, it's just fun.
If
he's a fun fighter. He's not going to be a top 10 guy. He's not going to fight for belts, but anytime he's booked a fight, we're like, fuck yeah, Nate Landwehr's fighting. I'm watching. Dude rocks. Can make a damn good living being a known guy who fights top 30 dudes. You can make a good career for yourself doing that. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Absolutely. One more super chat before we get out of here.
Well, we don't want to go 12 hours here. I'm just kidding. Finally, it's over. Glad UFC and Jon Jones wasted ours and Tom's time for a year for literally no reason. Is this the most famous ducking in combat sports history?
Ooh, what are the most famous ducks? That's a good
shit.
Do a ranking show.
I'm sure the chat will be all over this more than I am at this very moment.
What famous high level goat level ducks
Jermaine Durandamy and Chris Cyborg.
Oh yeah, I guess that's
that is the duck of ducks right there. Yeah. She literally won the featherweight belt. And then Chris is sitting cage side, and then she's like, yeah, I don't think so. And then she's just they just strip her the belt. And do you remember when we were talking about the Jon Jones situation when they didn't strip him a year ago, and we just read the wording about why they stripped Jermaine Durandamy? We expect you to fight the next the best person in the division, and it was Chris Cyborg, and she wins, so we've stripped her the belt. Golly, man. Yeah, that is probably the number one duck of all time.
Yeah.
Even more than this. Jon, at least
the UFC had no issue of burying Jermaine either. So no issue of it.
Most people thought, first of all, a lot of people thought she lost that fight. Oh, second of all, she hit Holly after the bell 2 different times and didn't get a point taken away from her.
I had Holly win.
Third of all, that card. Yeah, that card stunk. That was a very bad fight card. Outside of Dustin Poirier and Jim Miller, who beat the shit out of each other, those two guys are incredible. Buried on a card that was awful. I remember that was the first pay-per-view I had ever covered, live and in person. And I was man, this is tough scenes. Tough scenes. And then Chris is literally right there trying to set this fight up. She's nah, maybe I'll fight somebody else. I don't know. And then she's just like, I'm not fighting her. She took steroids. I don't want to fight anybody who took steroids or whatever, and accused her of all that shit. And they're just like, all right, let's get out of here. Let's move on with this whole situation. So yeah, it was crazy. So wild.
Okay, we got a lot of a lot of people. Floyd and Pacquiao. Floyd ducked.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking more
Prime.
MMA, but
Yeah. But in terms of MMA, yeah. Hey, I think we're good. We're good.
all right. Yeah, I feel like I've aged 10 years in the last hour and 55 minutes. Thinking I'm coming on talking about Baku. We're going to be in and out in 50 minutes. I'd be hanging out with my family, maybe having some dinner.
You see what it says right there? You see what it says right above me? Right there.
UFC Baku and lights / Jones retirement reaction. Hit the music. Let's get out of here. Now, look, I know there are some of you out there that's like, who gives a shit about Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall? I want to talk about UFC Baku. And I think we gave you what we could considering what was going on. But tomorrow, AK and I will record a brand new edition of On to the Next One. We will talk, I'm sure we'll talk about the Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall situation to get AK's reaction to it. But we're going to talk mostly about UFC Baku, the matchmaking in regards to where Khalil Roundtree goes from here, where Rafael Fiziev goes, on and on we go. We'll put over Nazim Sadikov and Nicholas Mota a little bit more, the lone bonus winners tonight. And we'll wrap and pack UFC Baku for all of you. And then we get to move to International Fight Week. UFC 317 coming up. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. So a lot going on in the MMA space. A wild year for 2025. And we're going to be here with you all the time, baby. So for Casey, I am Mike Heck. Shout out to Jed, who joined us from the lake. And shout out to Dana White for giving us this news. It all happened. For Casey, I am Mike Heck. That is Itchy and Scratchy as well. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.